And hopefully maybe some of the new members are logging on to the general meeting. And we will be asking people who are participating in certain SIGs to describe how their group operates. And not all the groups operate in the same way. But I think everyone will find it interesting just to get an idea of what happens in a SIG. So we have, I think, 4 people scheduled to speak. We'll keep it brief and let you know just a little in general about SIGs, and people will be able to, when we get back together, there will be an opportunity certainly to sign up with SIGs. If you signed up and never participated, which might have happened because of the pandemic, don't worry about it. We will just hope to get a lot of new people signed up in SIGs.
Yeah, and I think the day's coming when that's going to happen.
Yes.
In the not too distant future, I'm hopeful. So that'll be great. I mean, I really miss all my SIGs, my wine peeps, and my global cuisine.
Yeah.
It's just, you miss it all. And
Right.
Yeah.
So hopefully shortly we'll be back able to participate. Okay, Carol, do you want to turn it over to Kimberly and we'll get on with our program?
Sure. Kimberly Hall is our speaker for today. She's the executive director of Bluffton Self-Help. She's originally from Florida and has a Bachelor's of Arts degree from the University of Central Florida in Orlando and received her master's in business administration from the University of Tampa. Before coming to Bluffton, she led statewide marketing, volunteer, and fund development functions for Easter Seals, Florida. She's been with Bluffton Self-Help for a bit over 2 years, and her mission is to continue with Mrs. Ida Martin's legacy of serving the Bluffton community and individuals in need while delivering resources to help them become within the community. She lives with her husband and 2 young daughters in Bluffton, and they have developed a love for the community and its people. Please welcome Kimberly. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to ask everybody to please mute themselves. I can mute it all, everybody. Kimberly, you're going to have to unmute yourself.
I'm muted. Thank you. And I'm realizing now that you can't even see me. The light. There we go.
There we go.
Hi, everybody. I am embarrassed to admit to this group what I just ate for lunch. From a group who loves and enjoys cooking and all fine cuisine, I just had peanut butter crackers. So life on the go. I'm so glad to be here with you today and share a little bit about how things are going at Bluffton Self-Help. As I'm sure you can imagine, it has been an incredibly trying year, an incredibly busy year for our services and for our team. And it feels so weird to us to be saying that the start of the pandemic was a year ago. We have been operating at such a high level that we've never experienced before, but we were able to respond and be there for the community because of folks like you. And so first all, I want to just say thank you for all of you who donated financially, donated a box of cereal, a can of green beans, a blanket, a jacket, because all of that went a little bit further this past year. There's always need in our community, and in Bluffton specifically, and in Beaufort County, already about 60% of our community is living at or below a livable wage. We don't often talk in terms of poverty because poverty is already so low, and Beaufort County is such an expensive area to live in that families are already struggling to make ends meet. And that the increase in costs is due to housing. You often hear about, the need for affordable housing. Groceries actually contribute in our area. Our grocery costs in our area is about 12% above the national average. And so when you have folks struggling to make ends meet or living paycheck to paycheck, the look of poverty and what we talk about of people living in poverty is so different than how it used to be or how people imagine it. It really is that teacher, that nurse, that fireman. These are our neighbors, and that's why we refer to our clients as neighbors, and it truly is neighbors helping neighbors. Our organization was truly built for what has happened over the past year. And it's sad to think about that, but it makes me happy to know that there were organizations like ours ready and willing to respond. We were affected by COVID pretty early on. We lost a near and dear volunteer to COVID, and it really made us look internally on how to keep everybody safe in the unknown, right? All of us didn't know what to expect. We knew we were on lockdown, but we did not spend one day thinking about ourselves. We spent all those days thinking about the community and how are they going to get food. And I'm very, very proud to say, and I'm finding a piece of wood, that we have not shut down one day. We have been open for our community. That was really important to us, to not scale back, but in fact move forward and go full speed ahead. And we had to pivot like a lot of other places. But within 24 hours, we were able to bring some of our programs online. We developed a drive-through food distribution process to keep people in their cars, to keep our very limited volunteers safe and our staff. We immediately eliminated the number of people in the building, started a sanitation program, sanitizing the building, PPP with masks and things like that. And I'm not saying we haven't had COVID or I mean, I haven't personally, but in the building, we haven't had outbreaks, but we did it in a really safe way for our community. And typically we operate with about 220 volunteers. And since last March, we've had consistently from March to October, we had 10 volunteers. And we've been able to ramp that up over the past few weeks with, vaccines and caseloads going down and things like that. But this has really been kind of all hands on deck for us. And so last year, we served 1,100 families in our drive-through food distribution process. That's 1,100 families. That equates to almost 4,000 people. 4,000 people right here in Bluffton that live or work in Bluffton. We served about 800 families to keep them safe in their home, offering mortgage, rental assistance, utility assistance, because it was my mission to make sure nobody would go hungry or homeless during this pandemic if we could stand it. And when we saw people losing their jobs, loss of hours, getting furloughed, we don't do it alone. We 100% rely on the generosity of the community. We're 100% privately funded, so we don't receive any state or federal funding. Everything we do is through grants, through contributions, and we vet everything. Stuart, making sure the funds are well used is really important to us. Transparency is really important to us. But with that increase in caseloads, so in emergency financial assistance that we offered, that was about quadruple what we do in a normal year. So imagine doing that with very limited staffing and resources. Food distribution was up about 40%, and 30% of our new clients had never sought assistance before. So, and the number one thing we saw, you hear about stimulus bills and things and unemployment. The number one issue we saw was people being denied unemployment. And then the number two issue we saw were when people were offered their jobs back, they were offered at a lower hourly rate or a lower number of hours per week. Throw virtual school in that mix, and it was just a disaster for so many in our community. A lot of people couldn't go back to work because they either couldn't find childcare, couldn't care for their kids. If you have kids under the age of 10, being there for them, or they had a workplace that wasn't flexible with bringing kids. So there's just created this storm that we've all experienced. I know I'm preaching to the choir here in some way, shape, or form, but we are very proud of the response to the community. And I just want you to all know how much we appreciate support like this. one of our new programs that I just want to share with you that had to adjust a little bit in the pandemic was 2 years ago, we opened Beaufort County's first and still only education and resource center. And if you've seen the news lately, I'm really proud to announce that we've actually opened a location in Jasper County that opens on Monday of this education and resource center. And the whole theory behind that when I first started about 4 years ago was we provide great critical immediate needs and services to our families, right? We'll put food on the table, we'll help them keep in their home. But what are we doing to address the long-term needs for that family or for that individual? And nobody really had an answer. And there really weren't well-coordinated programs in Beaufort County. And so through a grant, we were able to open this education and resource center. And the whole purpose of this center is to provide access, right? So if a family or an individual comes to us and they're in need, maybe they immigrated from a different country, maybe they lost their job and need to build a skill set, maybe they want to change a career. There was nobody offering coordinated services. And so we opened the center, and the entry point really for a lot of our neighbors is the use of computers. We're still the only open access point right now in Beaufort County. Anybody can walk in and use the computers. So we saw everything from our 95-year-old friends in Sun City who had never used a computer, who wanted to keep in touch with their family, to the 16-year-old boy who wanted to come in and figure out how to write a resume, and everything in between that. And what happens there is really magical, because folks come in and they don't really know what they need. And they don't really know what's available to them. And we assign them with a mentor. And so think in your life for a second, when you had to make big life decisions, who was there for you? We often don't make them alone, right? We make them with our family, our husband, our parents, our siblings. And what we found with people who are living in generational poverty, they lack that positive support system. And when we can identify somebody to help provide that real, credible support, right? It's not coming from me, it's not coming from mom, it's coming from a professional in the community, it's coming from a friend. And when we can provide that support for them, for their goals, we're not setting goals for them. They set their own goals. Maybe it's to get a GED. Maybe it's to work on their soft skill training. Maybe it's to get a better job and figure out how to interview. We stay by their side along that entire journey. And that has been incredibly innovative when you look at human services and how we affect need in our area. And it's really helped us to connect the dots for a lot of folks in need. That center is still open. We had to scale back a little bit. We did a lot of phone calls and a lot of virtual meetings with our neighbors. And it shifted a lot from employment to unemployment, how to apply for benefits. And imagine applying for unemployment without a computer at home. Very, very challenging. And there still is an issue with internet access in rural areas. Bluffton still is a rural area. And can you believe there are places in Bluffton you cannot even get internet access right now? Even if you wanted it and could afford to pay for it, you still can't get it. And so we're trying to address some of those needs in the community and really just help folks find their path. Everyone's path looks different. And so that's why we call it's your path to success. And success looks different to everybody too. It might be financial success. It could be family stability. It could be buying or owning a home. And sometimes it's access to education. And a lot of people, when they think of Bluffton self-help, don't think of all those other things. They think of food, right? You think of the food pantry. But I wanted to share that because there's so much more to what we do every single day than just food. Food is one thing that we're doing to hit that immediate need and make sure there is no food insecurity in our community. But helping change our community is really what we're interested in right now, and really what we're trying to do, and just have this movement of change to help folks find their way. And so that's kind of it, what we're doing in a nutshell. There's a lot of other programs that we have, I think, that people don't realize. We have a school snack program in all 10 area Bluffton schools. 2 years ago, we went and talked to the social workers and we said, what are the teachers spending money on? They're a typical, we hope would be a client of ours. They're doing this amazing work, educating our children, and yet living below a livable wage. And they said school supplies, teacher supplies, they get a stipend, but most of them spend 40% above that stipend. and they need snacks. So kids receive free and reduced breakfast and lunch, but they're not getting an afternoon snack. And so what happens when 2 o'clock comes and they're taking a test, the teachers were buying snacks for those kids. So I said, that's unacceptable. We're a food pantry. We're going to supplement that. So we have actually a teacher supply closet in all 10 schools and a snack closet in all 10 schools. And then the other program that you probably hear a lot about is our toy shop, our holiday toy shop. And this past December, we served 1,700 children through our holiday toy shop. It was frightening and very saddening to hear some of the stories that we heard around layoffs and just how folks are trying to figure out life in a pandemic and what that looks like for them. And to be able to provide a new pair of socks, a stuffed animal, and a game for their 8-year-old child was just really magical for us. We also do holiday food programs. So during, Easter, Passover, December and Thanksgiving, we do an additional holiday food drive and distribution for our families as well. So there's a lot of moving parts. Also, the one thing I'm excited to share with you all that you may not know, but once a month we do a fresh produce event that's open to the entire community. And we receive fresh pallets of fresh produce from local farmers, and we open that to the entire community. And so all of you are welcome to come and access. Again, it's about creating access to fresh, healthy food. There is a direct correlation between weight-related illnesses such as diabetes and hypertension and people living in poverty. And there really is, it's hard to, buy a bag of kale at $4 or buy a can of beans for 74 cents. And so if we can create that access and create healthy, fresh food options, we are a wellness food pantry. That's what we're all about. And I see a question here about volunteers. When are we going to start taking volunteers? We are slowly inching back into our 220 volunteers. We obviously want them to feel safe through vaccination. A majority of our volunteers are currently in the process or have been vaccinated. We are not requiring it, but recommending it just because of the uncertainty of the work that we do dealing with clients every single day and dealing with the open community. So we're trying to figure out how to create safe situations and scenarios. The best way to really volunteer, not in-house, is, in your own communities by holding food drives and advocating for just our mission. That's the number one thing you can really help us do right now through your own volunteer efforts. But I'm curious if there's questions. Is there anything anybody's curious about or wants to learn about? I'd be happy to just share a few stories if I still have. I don't know how much time I have. Do I have more time? Am I out of time?
Yes, no, you have lots of time.
Oh, I have lots of time. Okay. I do want to share this one story in particular because it really resonates with me as a mom. And I think, like I said, when we often talk about poverty, it looks really different. You think about the guy holding the sign on the side of the road. And by the way, I see the people in Bluffton who do that. They know me and I bring them food. And a lot of times there are some mental health issues with that type of scenario. But we had a woman who had a great job. She had just purchased a home and she called me because she was referred by her church, and she was a donor for many, many years. And she said, you don't know me, I've been by, I've donated clothes and food and financially when I can, but I just got furloughed and I don't know what to do. And I said, okay, well, let's talk this through. What do you need? And she said, well, I don't really know. I have some savings. We try to train people, save for a hurricane, right? Save for evacuation. And everyone kept coming back saying, no, I did what you told me to do, but I didn't save for 3 months worth or 6 months worth that I needed. And so she was having trouble accessing her unemployment benefits, and she knew it wasn't going to be what she was making. And she had just bought a new home, and she was so proud because she was a single mom, 2 kids. And I forget, the dad was incarcerated, just not in the picture. There was just a bizarre scenario there, but she was making it work and she was so proud of it. And she said, I can't lose my home. I cannot lose my home. And, this was a period of time. This was back in April when we just didn't know what was happening. We didn't know what was going on. And I said, well, first things first, do you have enough money for food? And she said, yeah, I just bought bread and peanut butter. And I said, no, you need to come in. Let's get some pasta and some cereal for your kids. And then it gave us the idea to start putting snacks in the food bags each week for the families. And they also get a gallon of milk a week. And they also get meat and eggs. And like I said, that whole bag of fresh produce each week. And she came in and she got food, and a couple weeks, I kept seeing her, and so grateful. And, this really helps. I mean, folks can save an average of $75 to $100. And her unemployment did not go through because her employer offered her job back at half the number of hours. And so she said, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to make this work. I'm going to try and get another job. And I saw her one day in line, in the food line, and, we become friends, and she's crying. And I knew that she was struggling at that point. And we helped pay her mortgage that month. And we helped advocate for her because we knew the employer. And so we put her through the ERC and said, let's get you a different job then. Let's, if I think she was in like in a restaurant, it was like I'm not sure if she was a server or host or something like that. And we got her a different job in the organization at a full-time rate. And it was a little bit of an investment on our part. And I share this because if she were to go homeless, that would cost taxpayers, the second somebody goes homeless, $18,000. That's what it costs us in medical and shelter costs and transportation costs. That $1,000 to pay for her mortgage was a really good investment, not only for her own mental health, but just for her kids and for herself. And it allowed her to breathe for a minute to come up with a plan. And that's what folks need. They need, think of when you're in crisis, oh, I can't think straight. I can't, sometimes they just need that help and that support. And it's not always financial. Sometimes it's like, let's come up with a goal. Let's come up with a plan. Why are you living beyond your means? Why, and in this scenario, we just wanted to help her so badly because she did have a plan. She had that solid plan. She did everything right. She kept saying, I did everything right. I don't understand. She was providing for her kids. And I only share that because it really is our neighbors. It's that little bit of effort, and it made such a big difference for her. And here's what I'm going to tell you. I got choked up talking about this, but I got $100 check from her last week, and she is determined to pay it forward. I get choked up because I think of those kids, and I think of her, just her family and what people do as a mom. And I'm going to share one more personal story real fast now that we're all friends, right? When I took this job, we all do this work for very different reasons. We all give to charity, volunteer, and do things because it becomes personal for us. And we had quite a bit of trauma in our life growing up. And I called my brother. I got there's this great organization at Bluffton. I'm so excited. He said, that's so interesting that you're going to work for a food pantry. And I said, why is that? And he said, well, we used to get food from a food pantry. Our father passed when we were real young. And my mother struggled. She was a nurse and she struggled with 2 kids. And I said, no, we didn't. No, I said, no, we used to go on Saturdays and sort food. And he said, and remember, Mom used to take all the bad food home? What do you think we were doing? And I was so naive, but it just became full circle for me, and how she was protecting us, but trying to provide. And that's what these families are trying to do. They're trying to protect and provide, and we're trying to help them thrive. And that's the impact that we're making in the community. And it does become real personal because we had the benefit of having folks who cared about us along the way. And this is a special community. I have never been in a community that truly cares about each other. And it's a really special place. And everybody that walks through our doors or drives up, they are met with a smile. It is a judgment-free zone. We have folks who might show up in a Mercedes-Benz, and you know what? one time that happened and she was living in it. And you just don't know where people are at in that period of time in their life and what their needs are. And it's just, you know, I'm so grateful that Mrs. Martin started this organization 34 years ago. They are dedicating Martin Family Park in Bluffton, April 9th. If you're all around or interested, it is her legacy and her honor, but it just really is an honor and a blessing to, you know, share what we do and just the really grand impact that we have. So what questions do you all have?
Kimberly, I have a question. So given that with the vaccine and it's so difficult for people, I mean, you have to be really computer literate, it seems.
Yes.
So are you working with the pharmacies or anything to help those that don't have internet access to schedule a vaccine?
Yeah, so we have been promoting to all of our clients and actually the entire community that if they need help registering for a vaccine, they can come or even call us. I think we did 5 registrations yesterday alone. Here's the problem. To get on the VAM site, how many of you have done it? You have to have a cell phone number and an email address. And a lot of our clients might have one, but not the other. And if you have a flip phone, you can't even, you know, you have to have like a cell phone or a working number. They've changed the system a little bit better now. But so we had a lot of issues with that. But yes, we are registering them. We actually deliver 15 to 20 meals to clients each week as well. We have a food delivery program, which is important for all of you to know. It's very underutilized right now. We don't want to compete with Meals on Wheels. This is groceries. This is really for folks who can prepare, but can't have mobility or transportation issues. We went today, I'll tell you, door to door, and only 2 of the 20 wanted the vaccine. And so we're partnering with Access Health to try to get the vaccine into rural areas for our clients. And I got really great information today from the hospital. We have a wonderful partnership with Coastal. Joel Taylor is on our board, and just trying to not really disseminate the information, but you know, promote the information around the vaccine and getting as most people vaccinated as possible. And they, in the next week, I don't think I can share, but in the next week, they have a real solid plan on how they're going to do it. So I feel positive about what they were doing. And I let them know again today that if they had folks that show up or could not access a computer, that just, I gave her a bunch of cards, call us, we'll do it over the phone. So yeah, it's definitely, and moving into Jasper County. So we're starting out of Hardyville Library on Monday. I anticipate we will have a lot of inquiries about that as well. Now they're doing these pop-up events. Have you all seen that? They did one at Hardyville Elementary on Saturday, I think. And so they're working a lot with the faith-based community and different agencies out there. So my hope is just that we don't necessarily do it all, but our hope is that we can be a leader in convening and educating and coordinating. And so if there's anything we can do with that, and if you hear of any opportunities, please let me know, Jane, because we'd be happy to participate in that. Good question.
We had a question. When will you start taking volunteers again? Or is it too soon to tell? Or
yeah, I think too soon to tell right now. Probably fairly soon is my hope. So just bear with us and keep an eye on our social media and our website. And we'll share that real soon.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
First off, I applaud you and what you do. It's phenomenal. Does your organization receive any help from the government? Any subsidies? Nothing.
We do get a PPP loan. So that is actually the only government funds. We do get a grant from Beaufort County, a very small grant. That is, I don't believe it's federal dollars. That the way they do it is really interesting. So we don't get subsidies or anything like that. We don't have any federal money, no federal grants. We exist because of the community, for the community. And I tell everybody that because I think that's what makes us pretty special.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And it gives us the autonomy to do things the right way. We're not bound by some of the contractual agreements that I hear other agencies are when they receive those federal funds, but
Good
We
point.
were really grateful for the PPP loan because without that, I was really, really nervous. Like I said, we have a very small team. There's only 5 of us. And, most of them are program managers, but, it was like, how do we double our workload and, not make ends meet? And so
Yeah.
that was a real blessing for a lot of agencies and
Mm.
definitely organizations like ours. And it was forgiven. I was like, I don't believe it till I see it, but it was.
Yeah.
And that allowed us to pay salaries for 3 months.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Kim, it's Merle Lisgett, and
Hey, Merle.
how are you?
I'm
Well,
good.
Good. I just wanted to make a comment about, just to remind people that when you talked about the fresh vegetables, that Bluffton, we have 5 gardens here at Sun City that are community gardens in the Farmers Club, where all of those vegetables go directly to Bluffton Self-Help. And we're very proud of that program. And we believe, based on everything Kim's told us and all of the other people there, that it is a great benefit. So if anybody wants to volunteer to work in those gardens, we would love to have you.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Thank you for mentioning that. And honestly, it is the number one thing that's not donated enough is fresh, healthy food. So always feel like you can donate that. We will take it because it's definitely very important to our families.
Hmm.
Yeah. What other questions?
Hi, this is Debbie Williams. I have a question for you. I just retired from a large technology company. So my question to you is, what do you get any volunteer laptop equipment or anything that, maybe we could even drive here from Sun City to, people who are updating their laptops or whatever. And for people like myself and anybody else who ever worked in the technology industry could actually help with getting those into the hands of people who really need them, especially when they are struggling with, getting emails and getting themselves registered for unemployment and building a resume. And maybe they don't have the mobility to get to the library or to get to the facility to actually do that. So I'm just wondering, is that something that's in play, or is that something that could be in play?
Yeah, that's a great idea, Debbie. No, it really hasn't. We have, and I'm going to share something with you that's really kind of cool, but we have a not on staff, a volunteer technology person who helps us with our IT infrastructure internally. And so we do it as people need it. He has the storeroom of where the computers go to die kind of thing. But and so we've done it, but not really in a formal program. That's a really interesting thought. I'd have to think about that a little bit more.
Well, that would be something that I would be interested in helping you with. Again, there's a lot of us here in Sun City, and I know, whether we like it or not, we have to update our laptops or we buy something new, whatever the case may be. And to be able to take those and, just utilize them, because again, it's not like they need a lot of technology on it. They just need internet access and some basics. And those are things that somebody like myself, and maybe there's other people in the community who worked for big technology companies like I did, that have the knowledge. And it'd be great to be able to utilize that skill. So that would be something I'd really like to help with.
I love that. Will you do me a favor, Debbie, and send me an email just with your contact information?
Sure.
Debbie, it's Merle Lisgett. I would also suggest that, because you have this interest, that you talk to the computer club here in Sun City, because they do a tremendous amount of work with the people here who do change their technology all the time. It would be a great resource.
Oh, that's a wonderful idea, because if they're working with that, then to get the equipment from them, that would be wonderful. So great idea, Merle. Thank you.
So here's the neat thing, Debbie. I hope everyone thinks this was interesting. So about 10 years ago, we were keeping records on Excel, and our board chair at the time had this neighbor who was a software developer who actually developed iris recognition software. And so he developed a proprietary system for us. We call it Swipe Card, but it's just the magnetic strip. It's not this great technology, but it's proprietary, and it allows us to track in real time all of our clients when they come, where they live. We can map it. We can see how many pounds of food, how many visits. And we actually have adopted the Iris technology to track all of our volunteer hours. So our volunteers come in, it just takes a picture of your eye. It doesn't go to the FBI or anything, but it's really neat and innovative that we can adopt those technologies and apply them in what we're doing to make it easier. You know, we don't have to do things more difficult just because we're a nonprofit. A lot of people do, you know, so we have access to this great technology due to someone who lives here in the Low Country who access that. So we track all our volunteer hours on the Iris recognition software. Our goal is to get our clients on that eventually, but we're not quite there yet. So, but it's pretty neat. We try to think of ourselves as being a little bit advanced. We're getting there. We're getting better. What other questions? That's a great idea, Debbie. You already got my wheels turning on that. So thank you.
Okay.
No other questions? Did everybody learn a little bit something new about Bluffton Self-Help, I hope?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, it's always a pleasure. And if anybody, my email address is so easy. It's kim@blufftonselfhelp.org. If anybody, I would invite you, if you're comfortable, if anybody wants to come by and see the facility, I would love to show you around. Merle is a wonderful advocate. If you have questions, I know she'd be so amazing to answer them, but it really is a special place and it looks a little different. And our hope is to reopen sometime late summer to our food pantry, because everything we do is what we call client-centered. And we haven't really been able to do that because of the pandemic. We've been prepackaging all the food, and, you know, our goal is quality and respect. So, you know, that's what we do. So if you want to come by, just shoot me an email and I'd be happy to show you around and just show you what we do. We do food distribution on Mondays and Thursdays. We do deliveries on Thursdays, and then we do have a clothing closet. I know you're all wondering when you can donate clothes again, but not quite yet. We are slowly getting into the clothing business, and it's for two reasons. One, we haven't figured out a safe way to accept clothing. Two, we just don't have the space to space the volunteers to sort through them yet. So if you have workwear or children's wear, I'm winking at you, send me an email and I'll see if I can take it. But officially it's not open yet, but if you have good stuff, you know the director. I think Linda had a question. Oh, but you're muted.
Linda, unmute.
Oops.
Linda?
Yes, I'm hitting it.
There
Okay.
you go.
A question about the teacher snack closet.
Mm-hmm.
Are there particular things that you want donated for that, or would you just prefer money?
No, definitely snacks are wonderful. You'll save us the time to go shopping.
What kind of things? Do you
Everything from granola bars, you know, the puddings that you don't have to refrigerate are really good. Those fig bars are good. You can even get gluten-free ones. Anything nut-free is really good. A lot of them have requested nut-free things. You know, little bags of, we try to give them healthy stuff. So try to stay away from like sugary, like chips and stuff. I'm trying to think of what else. There was something on one of their lists and now I can't think. I think it was granola bars. Granola bars go a long way in the afternoon.
Yeah, we have granola bars on our list.
Right. You don't want anything homemade cookies? No, staying away from sugar.
No, we can't actually distribute those. Yeah, it has to be packaged and labeled.
Prepackaged.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Trust.
How about juice boxes?
No.
Sugar.
Yeah, we prefer, and honestly, the schools have their own budget for like water bottles and stuff now, so we kind of leave that to them. We try not to do anything.
Maybe little applesauce cups.
Yeah, the apple sauces are great. The unsweetened as well. The cinnamon ones do great in elementary schools. Yeah, those are great. Thank you. Good. Yeah, good suggestion on that. The pouches do really well too.
Since we're in the middle of doing a food drive for Bluffton Self-Help here, with this group. Those are great items to include in that.
Yeah.
So just everybody think about that. And Sandra, we might do an updated email to the whole organization about that as well.
I'll include that in the email that goes out with the link to the YouTube video. So,
Okay.
Okay, Kimberly, this is Debbie again. I have one more question.
Sure.
I host 2 book clubs. I just moved here, just so you know, so I'm not as familiar. So this is all good information.
Okay,
for me.
good. Welcome.
I have started 2 book clubs in the area, and I moved here from California. And in California, we did book drives from our book club every year. So would the books, if we did a children's book drive, things like that, is that helpful for you?
So we're gonna be best friends, Debbie. Not yet. I have this vision. You guys, we're all best friends now, right? So I have this vision to do, nobody's doing a book drive here, and it drives me crazy because, especially when reading levels are so low right now in Beaufort County, like 73%, especially with this gap. And I have school age kids, so I'm speaking from my own kids. There is a gap right now in reading levels. And there's a correlation between the number of books a child has in their home and their access and interest in reading. And so just stand by. We will do a kids book drive, and you're going to help me lead it. How about that? I'm volunteering you.
Well, it's interesting because I when I lived in San Diego, we did one for a community outside of San Diego called Escondido, and they didn't have any funding either for their library. And there was only 10 of us in our book club, and we got the word out to the community, and we were able to donate over 800 books. It was just amazing.
Wow.
So because people, whether they go out and buy them or whether they just check in with their grandkids or their name, it's just amazing. Everybody was able to come up with half a dozen books.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it when they all showed up in my driveway, and but it was like so powerful because everybody in the community was like, wow, this is unbelievable. And some of these books were like new editions because people just were like, hey, I'd rather buy somebody a book. That's a phenomenal thing. So like I said, I'm new, so I don't know what's here and what's not here. So I'm just trying to recreate some of the things that I've done in the past that I've really felt some fulfillment from. So
well, I love that. And stand by. Don't talk to anybody else about this. There's no secret, guys. Because I really want to do this. I really do. I've had this vision for a year now, and I couldn't do it during the pandemic. Just didn't make sense. But we're going to do this.
Yeah. And just so you know, I'm a big next door person and big into getting the word out, letting people know what's happening, because a lot of the time people just don't know. And once they find out, they're like, oh my gosh, I'd love to help. What do I need to do? Let me give you money, Debbie, you go buy the books. And I'm like, have at it. I'll buy the books. I don't care.
So great, because there definitely is fatigue that happens with like canned food and those drives and shoe drives and stuff. So books are really a neat way to, and they can be gently used too. I'd like to do it.
That's right.
Like gently used for sure.
Exactly. And it's also a really good thing. Our book club at Christmas every year would give wrap up books for kids for Christmas. So that's, again, that was driven by the book drive. So
and we do books. We do new books for our toy drive. All of the toys and books and clothes are all new. It's the only time we really do new things. But yeah, so that's another. If we don't get to it this year, we'll do it for Christmas. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kimberly,
that's it. Now I'm going to be quiet.
No, I love it. You're gonna send me an email. We're gonna chat.
Kimberly, one other suggestion I might have, and I'll take responsibility for doing this, but I would love to see an article about Bluffton Self-Help that could be published in our magazine.
Sure.
We do a monthly magazine called Sensations, and there's generally articles about different things in there. And you shared a lot of information today that should go to a much bigger audience. And I think that might be a way to do that.
Yeah. Can you connect me to, if anybody knows anybody there, that would be wonderful. We have purchased ads with them, but actually Pete Albero is one of our near and dear volunteers. I think he did an article maybe 2 years ago. So maybe I'll talk to Pete too about that, but that's a good suggestion, Meryl. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll get the names and telephone numbers to you for the editors and the people that put the magazine together.
That'd be wonderful. And I'd love to promote the Jasper County, just knowing how Sun City is partly in Jasper County. So that could be a great connection there. Sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
I just think your message needs to go. I mean, I think this is wonderful for Bon Appetit to do this and to get the message here. But I think the message about Bluffton Self-Help should go out to the entire community here. I just think there's a great value there.
Yeah, I agree.
That people, and like me, people who feel good about what they do
Yeah.
for
You know,
Bluffton
the other
Self-Help.
side of that, Merle, there might be some of your neighbors that are in need that might not realize that there's an organization that they
Right.
could go, because so many folks are living on fixed incomes right now. And so we actually get quite a few clients out of Sun City. And my fear is that somebody doesn't know we're there. And we could even bring them food, you know, so that's a great idea. And I just want to say, if any of you are in other clubs that meet this way, I would love to come talk and just share what we're doing, and really just our gratitude for the community, because everybody has really stepped up this year. And I really want to share the impact that we've had, because it's pretty spectacular. I don't know how we would have gotten through it without that support. So what other questions? Anything else?
Anybody else?
No?
Awesome. Thank you so much,
Well,
all my new friends.
Well, thank you, Kimberly. This has been eye-opening.
Well, thank you. Please don't be strangers. I'll, send me a note and an email, or, stop on by, because I'd love to meet you all in person when we're all vaccinated and it's safe to do so, and we can
Exactly.
wear a mask. All right. Be safe, everybody. And
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And everybody, remember about the food drive. So we'll see you next month.
Okay.
Okay,
Any
thank you,
other
Jane.
questions?
Thanks, Jane.
Thank you, Jane.
All right. See y'all later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.